I want to talk about NBA. And I think you prepared some things for us in the audience today. This should be good, about how the NBA should proceed given everything that's happened with coronavirus.
All right, boys and fella, we ready for this?
All right. Fasten your seatbelts.
All right. So, training camp, LeBron James and I think it was Damian Lillard were saying that they need probably 3 to 4 weeks of training camp before they can start playing like playoff-ready basketball. So I think June 1st until the 21st, that gives you 3 weeks. Sorry, 1 week shy. 3 weeks of training camp with your teams. Could be in a location like Las Vegas, maybe hopefully early June that they can get more testing to test them every couple days, every week. If so, they all stay in the hotels in Las Vegas. June 1st through 21st, training camp. But for the teams that are vying for the 8th seed in the West, which is 4 teams, they will go through training camp until about 2.5 weeks. So they'll be until probably the 17th or 18th. And then they'll play 2 3-game series against each other. So it'll be that whoever's the 8th seed right now, which is the Grizzlies, would play, I think, they would play the Kings. And then it would be San Antonio and New Orleans would play each other. So for the rest of the league, for 1 through 7 and then the 1 through 8 in the East, they'll play 2 exhibition games. They'll play 2 exhibition games through the 24th through the 27th. And then by July 1st, that 8th seed will be decided through the 2 3-game series. And July 1st, they'll start the NBA playoffs. First round will be a 5-game series, and then after that, it'll be 7-game series. So the finals will be in about mid-August, if those dates work out correctly. And then the championship will be crowned the champion will be crowned in late August. And then you start next season either on Christmas or January, the week after the CBS college football national playoff. So
I like it. I like it in theory. I'm shocked I like it because I didn't think of it.
I'm shocked too.
But that being said, excuse me, I seem to be a bit parched. But in all honesty, no, I do like that idea. I like the idea of a wild card playoff. I think that's sick. Almost like baseball, like where you play like a little. It's instead of just like do or die, it's like a little series. Because you're still sticking with like that common theme of basketball, where it's a series and not a one and done. Something I would say, and tell me what you guys think about this. Or actually, Star, go ahead, because I actually want to hear what you have to say first, because what I have to say is kind of a bombshell of a proposal.
No, I like a lot of it. I think you'd have a lot of trouble. And again, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly how many games back these teams are at the bottom of the East and West for that 8 seed and everything. But I think you'd have a lot of trouble getting those teams to agree or be okay with an 8 seed saying, yeah, okay, I'm an 8 seed right now. Yeah, I'll play a tournament to possibly lose that 8 seed. And then what if that 8 seed's only one game back from the 7 seed, and then the 7 seed gets to keep, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have a lot of discrepancies there with teams disagreeing with how their, how their route and path is to get into the playoffs. So I don't know if there is a solution that would make everyone happy and that's going to be, fair to every team. So maybe that is the best way, or maybe that's one of the best ways, but I think it'd create a lot of issues with those bottom tier teams who are trying to make it in.
What you could also do is just say, screw it, you guys weren't in the playoff picture by the time the season was over. We know we cut it short, but we're sorry. Memphis, you're in, and then just start at July 1st with everyone else. That would be another reasonable way to do it.
Yeah, and I almost think you might. Yeah, I almost think you may be better off doing that just to get rid of all the extra crap, and you're still going to piss off those other teams who were a game, 2 games back from the 8th seed. But.
Okay, now let me ask you guys about this, because I have 2 questions and I think I have an answer to them. One's a little more obvious, but it's really 3 questions in 2 parts, I suppose. Okay, MVP and Rookie of the Year, who are they? Because if the regular season is essentially ending with this proposal, then that means that everything that happens in the playoffs is irrelevant, because we all know that the voting, is just based off of the regular season merit. Second question: thoughts about as the playoffs get deeper, so they're not gone as long. and considering the fact that while it's going to be tough to find a place in the States to host, because this is going to be, I think, all indications point towards that it's going to be an issue being coronavirus for a while. Thoughts on, and I know how this is going to sound at first, but really when you think about it logically, at this point, they're the furthest past the curve. Moving the games, again, later in the playoffs to China, reestablishing that relationship, which accounts for a huge majority of the business that the NBA generates outside of the States. And then also, because we all know what happened with the relationship that broke down with, LeBron and Daryl Morey from the Rockets, and how kind of ugly that got with the Chinese government and citizenry. Restoring that relationship by playing the finals and maybe the conference finals there. And also, it's going to be the safest place to be. I mean, I know how it sounds, and we can talk all day about how China has definitely not accurately reported their numbers of cases and most likely deaths. But with that being said, they've now had it under control, and they're turning the corner because they're the ones that started with this thing. And now that they're on the up and up, that might be the safest place to be, in all honesty, as crazy as that sounds. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's some outdoor courts at the fish markets. I think that they could probably hit up some outdoor courts over there. Really.
Yeah, maybe they'll serve bats at halftime,
they have the oh my God, please.
No,
they have the infrastructure already. They have our own separate league. They have the stadiums. They have the ability to do it. They have plenty of places to house the athletes. It's a modern society with just up the ass worth of entertainment. And ways to reach out in terms of media. I mean, not to mention the revenue that they would generate from all the fandom. I mean, could you imagine? Almost like the Thrilla in Manila in classic boxing. I mean, how iconic of a moment could that be? And not only that, but it would also be a good gesture from a business perspective to, show the Chinese that we're serious about mending that fence that was created earlier on in the preseason.
Yeah, but Feller, you're leaving out the whole part where the coronavirus spread from China. Like, I don't think I don't think the United States, I don't think players would want to go there or feel safe or feel just going there, and I don't think that the government would want to give revenue to China with such a rocky situation.
But see, this is you're missing the point. The rockier situation right now is in the United States. We're still not even past the curve. China is past the curve.
First off, we don't know about the
health. It's safer in China.
We don't know that.
Right now,
know that.
Yeah, I don't think you can definitively say that either, fella. And I'm not going to say I can definitively disagree or agree with you. Like, I know the numbers so well, but I don't think that you can sit here and say for sure that, it would be safer or this is, I really don't think so.
Well, I know that in China, because of the social restrictions that they are able to monitor and because of the lack of some certain civil liberties, they're allowed to monitor and they were able to shut it down much quicker. For example, when they go under a lockdown, and I think we can all agree that the numbers that they released are bullshit. Fine. However, because it happened so early and they were the origin, and we've heard this all the time about mitigating the curve, I think they are so far beyond the point of mitigating it, and this is why. They were able to, once the outbreak started, they had a luxury that you don't in this country. When they say we're doing a stay-at-home order, that means you're staying at home, and if you leave and you're seen outside of your home, then we're taking you to jail. Because this is China, and this is how things are run. Okay? So that definitely helped, alleviate a lot of the stresses that we're seeing in the United States now because they had that ability. Not to mention, because of the lack of civil liberty, that they're allowed to monitor people's cell phones and do a whole self-check before you enter restaurants now. They're doing this crazy thing, and it's almost like a different card-based level of clearance based off of your health. It's green if you're clear, it's yellow if you might have it, and red if you are contagious. So they're able to monitor it much more effectively than we are in this country, and they've done a much better job of stopping it, not because of, because it's a better country, nothing like, that, but just because of their ability when it comes to the government's power. And I am telling you, You're right. I cannot sit here and say flat out that, yes, it's true that it's not an issue in China any longer. But I am telling you, without a doubt in my mind, that it is less of an issue in China now than it is for the United States, who has pockets who are still on the up and up with this thing, and who have not implemented adequate testing enough to say that we're like good to go. I mean, to put it anywhere in the United States, I think would be tough. But that's just food for thought. I mean, I'm not married to the idea or anything like that, but I decided to be interesting because since they are the origin of it, they've passed their curve and they've passed their in all likelihood their highest growth in cases.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting, and again, from the business perspective, it makes a lot of sense to me, assuming that the health standards are in order.
The biggest problem that I have with it, just one last point, is I don't mind it logistically. Like, it makes sense that, like, with the venue and with everything that they have, how they've mitigated the curve, I just don't see the U.S. government allowing the first, like, American sports league to be played in the place where the coronavirus was originated.
Yeah,
that's
and
like
I
the
think,
biggest
like you
issue.
said,
I don't think they would go for that.
Right, and I think, like you said
either.
earlier, right, the players. I think you'd have a lot of trouble getting the players and the entire NBA as a whole to agree to that. And it may be tough to have it done in the U.S., but one of the draws, at least to the Vegas proposal, was to the players and everyone saying, hey, your families can come too. And you think you're going to get all those guys to agree to go overseas bring all their family? It's just, I doubt.
Well, it would be no, because it would be for the conference finals and then the finals with my proposal.
Just those
in theory, two? It would be conference finals and finals to do it there, and that would be the same length of time that the Lakers essentially went for their China tour before the season started. So I'm not worried about that. Okay. Not to mention they're getting paid millions of dollars. Now that's funny because I think you're right. I think you have a tough time getting the NBA and the players to sign on, and I think you'd have a less hard of a time to get the government to sign on. Because a lot of what this administration wants to do is to open back up. So we'll see how it plays out, and it'll be interesting to keep an eye on. I want to also encourage our audience to go and visit our Twitter page @Feller Podcast again with a new poll question: will the NBA season continue in the summer? Let us know your thoughts on that.